I'm Leah Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my husband with Southern stories of the macabre, creepy, and strange.
And I drink.
So what are we drinking tonight, Mitchell?
Our beer tonight is Lovebug Passion Fruit Sour Ale. It's from Chandeleur Island Brewing Company in Gulfport, Mississippi. It's 5.6% alcohol by volume. Let's read the can, why don't we? And it's a long one, so, just, Leah, you take a break for a minute. Okay. You drink on it and get ready for a personal review. Here we go. If you live anywhere near the Gulf Coast, you're familiar with love bugs. Twice a year, these critters hatch and fill the sky. They may wreak a little havoc on your vehicle, but other than that, we don't really mind them. It's just a part of life on the Gulf Coast. This latest release in our Gulf Sour series pays homage to those cute little bugs we see every spring and fall. Brewed with passion fruit and mangoes, this sour ale is both sweet and tart. Enjoy by the water and under moonlight. Now I'm done. I just want to say that the transition there of those cute little bugs we see every spring and fall, and then immediately into brewed with passion fruit and mangoes makes me think
there's love bugs in there?
Yeah, there's like passion fruit and mango love bugs.
My only thing is, if you've never driven through a swarm of love bugs, it is the most disgusting thing that you will ever fucking do.
Yeah.
When my mom was still alive, she was a respiratory therapist, and she was part of the state's emergency response team, right? And so she had to go to this training every few years so she could keep her... it was for continuing education units. And I was out of a job at the time. I had just graduated college, and she, didn't like driving long distances. So the state was paying for the hotel room, so might as well. So I went and I drove her down to Mobile to do the classes and stuff like that. And on our... while we were down there, love bugs fucking everywhere. Literally fucking everywhere. It was awful. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad. It was a nice trip, but I was so glad to leave Mobile because of all of those fucking bugs. I'm not kidding. Every, 10 miles or so, we had to stop, get off the interstate, and go to the gas station and get in line for the people waiting on the window squeegee to squeegee this nasty goo off of your window because you would, that it is driving through a literal swarm.
Yeah.
And it was, ugh.
Yeah, when they say wreak a little havoc on your vehicle, they are underselling it quite a bit.
Very underselling it.
If you're not from down here and don't know about love bugs, they are an absolute menace right at the beginning of summer and at the end or beginning of fall.
Yeah.
It's
and it only
dangerous.
It only lasts maybe a weekend or so, maybe a week. But if you're caught in that shit, seriously, we had to stop on the interstate every 10 miles or so just to squeegee off the windshield because the windshield wipers wouldn't do shit for it. It was so bad.
It's a lot like locusts. They just all hatch at once.
Yeah, and then they're everywhere like a motherfucker, and they fucking die.
No, they don't bite you or anything.
No.
They literally just hatch and run into your windshield, and their lives are over.
And all the restaurants have, the air gates and stuff like that, but even then, it's hard for them to not get love bugs inside. It's bad.
Well, anyway, about the beer. Oh, Jesus. This is a seriously delicious sour. Maybe the best one we've had, up there with Citrocabra for me. I love this beer. Most of the sours are just so ordinary. They've got some sour in them, and that's it. This one, the fruit really pops. That passion fruit and mango really comes out, and then the back end is just a nice, tart, wonderful taste. It's a new family favorite for the Lawrences, I dare say. Yeah, I think it's wonderful. Leah, what do you think about it?
Yeah, it's really good. I still like Citrocabra better, but...
Well, it's up there.
This is delicious.
It gets a 10 out of 10 from me. It is a wonderful, fantastic sour.
Yep.
Our shot in the dark for the night, we are reusing Kentucky Pink Lemonade. Mashed, distilled, and bottled by M.B. Rowland's Distillery in Pembroke, Christian County, Kentucky. 22.5% alcohol by volume. And if you want to hear the full review, refer to episode number 53, which was titled Flap Flap Sea Potato. I had forgotten about that one.
I like that episode title.
Yes, and we gave it a 9 out of 10 because it's real freaking good, and I can't wait to shoot in it. It does have like real lemon or something in it, or fruit
it's
pieces.
got-
So we
yeah.
have to shake it up before we shoot it, and it's been in the fridge this whole
It's got
time.
lemon
So
pulp in it, so
yeah. So we've got that ready. I'm excited. We have 2 really good drinks this week. I'm excited, and we are now done with the alcohols and Lovebug anecdote. So,
cool.
Leah, what do we have next?
We have a new Patreon subscriber.
Yay! New Patreon. Hold on.
Patreon.
Let me get here. I gotta get to the soundboard. I'm sorry.
Shut up!
Okay.
All
done.
right, excellent.
I've done my part.
Welcome, Leanne, to the Possum Passel. Hey, Leanne.
Welcome, Leanne.
Hey, girl. She is subscribed at the buy a 6-pack level. We're so happy to have you, ma'am.
Yay.
Thank you for supporting our show. Thank you for helping us, just in general, pay for our hosting and all of that stuff. It's awesome. We appreciate you so much. And if anybody wants to join Leanne in the Possum Passel, you are
Join
more
her.
than welcome to. Patreon.com/Southern Spirits Podcast. Give a little, give a lot, whatever you feel. If you can't do that, if you just plain don't want to, you can still support our show by telling your friends that they should listen to us as well. Tell
And
your enemies too.
compatriots.
Just anybody that is willing to listen, tell them about our show, because we've seen a lot of growth over the last little few weeks or so, especially through our Instagram and stuff like that. So
Yeah. And I've started live tweeting Star Trek The Next Generation.
which I'm sure has a lot of followers.
I've gotten like 5 likes on my stuff.
So
A few of them are from Captain Kirk's Dildo, which is a parody account, and I'm upset about that.
anyway, but yeah, if like I said, if monetarily isn't the way you can help, you can still help. Just if someone's online and asking for a recommendation, recommendate us, please.
Yeah. Give us a recommendation.
Yeah, you can recommend us on Facebook. That's a feature now. Several
Oh,
of
is
you
it?
have done that, and I appreciate that.
Oh.
Yeah, so that would be a great way to help us out. Just to let other people know that we exist in the world.
Click the recommendate button on Facebook.
Yes. Anyway, and thanks for everybody that's already done that. We really appreciate everything that you do to get the word out about us weird drunk Southerners.
Yay. And do, for real, y'all engage me on Twitter with this live tweeting thing. I'm loving it. I am absolutely loving it. We didn't watch near as much this week. We had a lot to do.
Yeah.
So maybe in the next week we'll get like 1 a night, maybe. But, I like to send out a preliminary tweet that'll give you about 3 minutes of time to like, oh God, I got to get on Prime and load up the episode they're on.
Mitchell,
But,
no one is watching TNG with us.
Well, I hope they do is what I'm saying. I'm trying to get the word out. I'm
All right.
recommending it.
So if anyone wants to watch TNG with us, it usually happens around 9 o'clock Central Time.
Yep.
Anyway,
I'm loving it.
I'm glad you are.
Yeah, and y'all can tweet with me because I'm really enjoying live tweeting it, getting my first reaction to everything because I've never watched it and I'm loving it so far.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, were you ready to move on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm done talking about the next generation.
Because we've got listener mail.
Yay, listener mail.
You're not gonna give
Listener
me
mail.
anything
Hold
for
on.
that?
Oh, I hit it twice by accident.
Oh, that was a chorus of monkeys.
Oh, hashtag monkey chorus.
I don't know. And these postcards, of which I have 8 in my hand right now,
Calm down.
are all from Kathy again, which I'm super pumped about because Kathy has been traveling
Yeah, she has.
this summer, and I feel like it should be like I think she needs her own theme song, just like where in the South is Kathy at this moment. You know, be pretty great.
How long were you working on that?
Like a while.
Okay. This was all day at work for you today, wasn't it?
It was like a second at work, and then I just remembered it. But anyway, so I'm
There's your
not going
theme
to read
song, Kathy.
all of them, but I'm going to tell you what they are. So we've got a few. It looks like she's been in Memphis, Tennessee,
Yay.
because she sent us some great postcards from Graceland, which is really fun.
Yeah, that's great.
Let's see. So we've got Graceland at the front and Elvis's pink
Party
Cadillac.
in the back. Oh.
Yeah. Then we have...
Oh, that's fun. I didn't know there was an actual pink Cadillac.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know anything about Elvis.
Yeah, he has a pink Cadillac. It's right out front, right there. This is, It's I'm not sure. The TV room, and it's all decorated in yellow, white, and black, and it is
Really?
got mirrors on the ceiling and the walls, and it has 3 giant CRT TV. It's bad. And then
Elvis.
perhaps one of my very favorite rooms in Graceland. If y'all haven't visited Graceland, go fucking do it, because that is a monument to tacky, and I love it. Okay, and this is the jungle room.
Okay.
It is quite spectacular. All of the furniture is Naugahyde. It's wonderful.
Let me take a look. Oh, I fucking love that.
Isn't the jungle room great?
Yes.
Okay, and then apparently she was on a riverboat cruise, and this one was from, I think this one should have been read first, but this was from Natchez.
Kathy, start numbering your postcards.
Well, she dated him, but anyway.
Oh, okay, that's good enough. That's numbers.
So she took a paddle wheel boat, and it says free booze of all kinds on this boat.
Okay.
Which sounds great.
I thought there was more.
Nope.
I'm sorry.
And
That
this
sounds
is
fucking
actually
awesome, though.
this next one is my very favorite postcard, because if any of you have been to the Peabody Hotel, which is where this is from, every day at the Peabody in Memphis, there are ducks that live on the roof, and then they have a duck parade from the roof, and the ducks get off the roof into the elevator, and the duck grand marshal leads them on a parade to the fountain inside the lobby of this hotel. And this hotel is gorgeous. It's a marble lobby, beautiful fountain that these ducks swim in.
I heard about this from your grandmother.
Oh yeah,
Because I never knew about it.
yeah, and my mom, apparently every time they went on vacation, they like to go, if they were nearby, they like to stop and watch the duck parade. And anyway,
Oh God.
and yes, I have been to the Peabody. I've seen the ducks and I've seen the duck parade. But they do 2 parades a day. One, the ducks coming down, one, the ducks going home. But yeah, and this is just a postcard of the ducks and the fountain. But on the back it says, still no alligators.
Oh man.
Which I appreciate, because ducks. I don't know. Anyway.
Ducks.
And then we've got a lovely did you know postcard about Beale Street in Memphis. That's fun. And then it looks like she's finally made her way to Georgia. She's in Atlanta, so we've got 2 Skylines of Atlanta postcards, but one of them, and one of them's of the Coke Museum.
Oh, that's fun. Here, take this one back.
The World of Coke. And if you've ever been to the World of Coke and you've started tasting those Cokes around the world, some of that shit's disgusting.
You want to know the best part about all this?
What?
We now have a nice, thorough sample size of Kathy's handwriting. If we could start stealing her identity. Our evil plan has finally come to fruition. We started the show with one intention, and that was to steal as many identities as possible.
Yeah.
Through handwriting.
Yeah.
Start typing your postcards.
I would say through postcards and snail mail that no one uses anymore. All right. You're smart.
Oh.
Love you.
I'm just so happy that someone with such fervor has actually taken on the postcard thing.
And you know what? I fucking love postcards.
I know.
was so
That's why I'm
excited to
happy
get
about
every
it.
single one of them. And I've actually bought some, a strip of cork to hang around the top of our podcast room. And I'm planning on hanging that up tomorrow. And I'm going to tack up all of the postcards we've gotten so far.
Yeah.
And I've got a legit stack of postcards. I might be able to make it across one wall. I'm very excited.
93% of them are from Kathy.
That is true, and I don't
It
give
is
a
awesome.
shit because
Kathy,
they're
we're
all
not-
awesome.
I'm not demeaning you in any way. That's awesome. We're so happy.
We're legit super pumped about it. Because I've always loved postcards. I've got postcards from when my friend Amanda was traveling in Europe. They're all hanging in my office at work just because I like them.
Yeah.
That's all.
Those don't get
I've got
to
a
be
few
on the
from
podcast
New York
wall.
and Prague from when I was living there.
Those don't get to be on the podcast wall either. They need to be podcast postcards.
Yeah, it's all podcast postcards because the others are hanging in my office.
I'm saying don't bring them home.
Wasn't gonna.
They're not going up in the fucking podcast room. Those are the
All
rules.
right. Okay. Well, anyway, that was fun.
It was. I'm so ready to steal Kathy's identity.
You need to calm down, sir. All right. Well, are you ready for a funny place name? Because we're 15 minutes in, and I
Yes.
think we should start the content.
All right. Speed it up.
All right. Well, we are going to Mississippi, and we're going to be talking about Panther Burn.
You know, we'll get to Panther Burn in a second, but I was just thinking about how You know how you and I have spoken about it? We've never talked about it on the podcast, but how about we both like My Favorite Murder quite a bit.
Yes.
But you're way more into it than I am.
Yeah.
Because the first 30 minutes, I don't like their conversation. Like at all. I like their stories.
Well, the conversation's sort of what you're there for.
I understand, but I'm saying I don't like it, and now we're doing it. And now I feel like, oh God, I'm going to turn off so many people now.
You do realize
Because I have so much
you're
conversation.
continuing this, right?
Yeah, I want to talk about it. Like right now. Let's do it. We got 15 more minutes to fill. I'm saying I love the stories and the conversation. Like, I don't hate it. I'm just like, get to the stories.
You're a skipper. It's fun.
I am a skipper. A 3-hour tour.
All right. We're talking about Panther burn,
Panther
Mitchell.
burn.
All right.
Is that Panther urinary tract burn?
No, just Panther burn.
Gross.
B-U-R-N. Panther burn. So Panther burn, the name actually goes back. So Panther burn is a plantation. It's like a town in Mississippi, but it was originally a plantation.
Like the Vatican?
What?
Like the Vatican's its own city, but it was like one thing for a little bit?
No.
Yeah,
Not
same
like that
idea.
at all.
Same idea.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No. So this plantation was established in like 1816 or so when Martha Patience Vick married Colonel William Willis, and they were given 2 lovely estates. They had a house on Cherry Street in Vicksburg, and then they were also given this Panther Burn plantation as a wedding gift. And the name comes from when they were clearing the land for like the farmland and the settlement. They cut down all the brush and they cleared the trees, and it was kind of swampy land. And they were clearing it all and draining it to get it ready for cotton crops. And the legend is that, like, that area was known for, like, panthers, like the Florida, or the, Florida, Mississippi, that kind of, the panther. I think they're called Florida Panthers, but...
Right. Did we discuss this on the show? About how, I know that we talked about it, but
Yeah,
like there's the football team, the Florida Panthers, and I thought that it was just a fun name.
North Carolina Panthers or something.
Shit, you're right. God damn it.
But it's the same animal. But
I'm thinking
yes.
of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
What?
I'm thinking of the
Yeah.
Jacksonville Jaguars, which is a football team.
Whatever.
Well.
There's some kind of big cat down there, and they called it a panther. And they had cleared its land basically where it was, and they kept talking about how the panthers would run from burn pile to burn pile, trying to find shelter, trying to like.
Oh, this is
duck
terrible.
and hold. Yeah, it's miserable.
I hate this.
And they couldn't find it, and so there was a lot of panthers just panthering about without a house because they burnt it. Hence the name Panther Burn.
I hate this.
I'm
I don't
sorry.
like this one at all. Skip it. Y'all skip to the stories.
All right. Well, that was it. And I'm sorry that I bummed you out about those people destroying habitat.
Well, one of the things that always makes me upset is cruelty to animals. Like, I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate animals suffering because they don't know what's happening.
I thought you were going to say you hated animals. I was like, since
No,
when?
I love animals. I like animals way more than people. Way more. Even the dangerous ones. Because, that's it, really. I just like animals way more. Because they don't do shit just to be assholes most of the time. Well, I mean, some monkeys throw their shit, but that's about it, right? But that's about it, really. I mean, they just throw their shit sometimes.
Gross.
But yeah, most animals aren't doing shit just to be dicks. Anyway, that's all that I had to say.
I don't know. Have you met our cat?
Yeah, he does do some
I was
dickish
saying, I'm
stuff.
pretty sure he's just a malevolent little spirit trapped in a tiny cat body, and he would murder us if he were any larger.
We should probably burn his dens. Fuck that cat.
Oh, bless.
Okay, well, that's all that I had to say about that.
All right,
Excuse
so now that we're 20 minutes in, we should
Yay.
probably go ahead and
That's what I'm
go
talking about.
to our very first story of the evening. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we're talking about the Boyington Oak in Mobile, Alabama.
Okay, I don't know what this is.
All right, excellent. So, there was a guy, and his name was Charles Boyington, and he was from Connecticut originally, and he was a printer. He arrived in Mobile in 1833, and he decided that he needed a place to live like anybody would moving into a new place. And so he looked around and he talked to folk, and he decided that he was going to live in a boarding house owned by a lady named Mrs. William George.
Her name's William?
I think her husband's name was William.
I was going to say, that's a dude.
But you know how people sometimes address things to Mrs. the dude's whole name, which I fucking hate.
Well,
when
it doesn't
people
happen.
address me as Mrs. Mitch Lawrence, it makes me want to slap them.
Who does that?
Anytime you get like a wedding invitation, which I understand that's how you're traditionally supposed to do it, but I'll be damned.
I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Well,
like, anyway.
Yes, it has happened.
Do you mean when it says Mr. and Mrs. Mitch Lawrence?
No, like sometimes
I've seen that.
Like stuff from church, or when, anyway, formally, it would be, I'm Mrs. Mitch Lawrence, and I fucking hate it. But anyway.
Well, you belong to me. You're my property.
You can go suck a big old dick. But
at least the Southern Baptists get it. They know that you're mine.
Fuck off.
Your body belongs to me and your spirit.
We were married by a not quite Methodist minister, so you fuck off. Doesn't count.
Yeah, but apparently to them, you're still my property. Which,
whatever.
You know what? I support that facet of the Baptist church. That's like the only thing. But, I'm into it.
Anyway, so he has gotten residence at this boarding house. He's gotten a job. And another resident of the boarding house he became real good friends with, and that guy's name was Nathaniel Frost. And Nathaniel was kind of like an introvert. He kind of had some depressive tendencies. He was
he's definitely got snow powers.
What?
100%. He's an introvert with the last name Frost.
Oh, yeah.
That dude is Sub-Zero.
No.
The lady Sub-Zero's name is Frost.
Cool.
Isn't that fun?
It is fun.
Anyway, hashtag Mortal Kombat chat.
But yeah, he had some depression problems, and he also had tuberculosis, which is fun.
He had icy lungs then.
He did.
That's what it was.
And being in Mobile is not great for tuberculosis, turns out.
Oh, no.
The humidity is not a good idea. But anyway, so Frost was also a printer, and so they had a lot in common. And Frost and Boyington would go to the nearby Church Street Cemetery, and they would sit amongst the tombstones, and they'd read poems aloud, and they'd talk about like the stuff of the times, like news and philosophy, and they would just like hang out and enjoy talking to each other.
That sounds quite pleasant.
It does. And Boyington liked to write poems as well, and turns out he was also a pretty good musician. He played the harp and the mandolin. And so, as good musicians were a little sparse in that area, he got invited to a lot of like balls and stuff like that to play and etc. So he got invited to go to this really fancy ball that was held at the Alabama Hotel. And Charles spent a lot of money on a good suit so he could like be fancy at the ball and meet like rich people and stuff. So he spent like most of his savings on this real good suit of clothes. And while he was there, he met a woman, and he became so fucking infatuated with this woman that it kind of ruined the rest of his life. Shot in the dark.
Oh God, I'm having trouble with the soundboard. Everybody look away. Oh shit, this isn't working.
That's why you should pay for your things.
There we go. Yeah, it had a pop-up. I'm sorry, everyone, but the shot sound effect has been done.
All right, well, this woman was named after a flower. What was her name?
Camellia.
Was her name A, Lily?
Was that not right?
B, Camellia? Or C, Rose?
I'm going with Camellia.
You're wrong.
Fuck. Oh, man. I don't know. It's just the first thing that came to my mind. And I was sure it was Camellia.
It was not.
All right. Kentucky Pink Lemonade. Oh, shit. I didn't shake it up. I've just got the skim. The skim pink lemonade. All right. Here we go. Woo. God, that shit's so good. Oh, that's kind of cough medicine-y. That's not good. Maybe it's been in the fridge too long.
Possibly.
I don't know.
Anyway, so her
If I
name
vomit
was
later, we'll know there's a problem.
her name was actually Rose de Fleur, and she was the daughter of the Count de Fleur.
Rose
Count
the
of
Flower?
what? I have no fucking idea. But yes, Rose the Flower.
Rose the flower. Okay.
And she had danced every dance that night. She was popular as fuck. She was real cute. She was the daughter of a count, so she was kind of like ritzy. She had a lot of heiress money gonna happen later on. So everybody was like into her. Well, it turns out that Boyington was very into her as well, and he eventually was able to dance with her. And they sort of like fell in love immediately upon dancing, like Disney style. And so Charles ended up finding out amongst the grapevine that Rose actually attended the local Catholic church, and she went to Mass every morning. So he began to attend the Catholic church every morning as well in hopes of seeing Rose there. And Rose was always escorted by a member of her father's staff. And this woman's name was Lydia. And Lydia was like super like young and romantic, and she's like, oh, this is really cute, Romeo and Juliet, yay. And so she would pass notes between the two during the service, even though Rose's father was not thrilled about it. Like, he didn't want his daughter slumming it to be nice. And so he was like, absolutely not, you can't talk to this dude, he's poor as shit.
See, most people heard shit through the grapevine.
Oh, yeah.
But you said he was amongst it, so he's in with all the thorns and shit.
I don't think
So
grapes
he
have
sucks.
thorns, sweetie.
Well, that's what I'm going to say, because she's Rose and she's got all them thorns, too.
Okay.
You know what's up.
So he basically said that Boyington did not have enough money to provide for his daughter. She grew up a socialite and with expensive tastes, and there's no way that this fucking moron is going to be able to,
Yeah. Now every time that I hear the word socialite, do you know what I think of?
What?
Y'all, we've talked before about how we watched this British show called 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. I'm serious, seek it out. Richard Iowati on it talks about the film White Chicks.
Yeah, I remember.
And he says that these are two white socialites. And then he pauses and he goes, I don't think you need to say white in front of socialite, actually. And I just think that's just a really funny take. I think it's so funny. But anyway, when you say socialite, I just immediately think rich white girl.
Ah, yes. Well, bingo.
Yay.
Yeah. So he was like, you guys can't be together, so just fuck off, right? Excuse me.
Yes.
And so, like, he basically kept them apart as much as possible. But obviously, like, stupid children in love, they
Romeo
did
and Juliet
everything that they could to get together.
amongst the grapevine.
Yeah, that grapevine. So eventually, it just got too much for Boyington. He couldn't see her. They kept him away from social events. So he stopped trying to go to these parties, and he began to just write poetry for Rose for hours and hours, just endless poems all the time. And everyone in the boarding house knew that Charles was absolutely infatuated with this woman, that he spent all of his time daydreaming about this woman. And he eventually started to affect his work to the point where he got warned a few times, like, dude, you're fucking up.
Yeah.
You're not being the best printer you can be. You need to shape up or you're going to get fired. Well,
Stop printing your own fucking poetry. You can't use company resources to print out your god-awful love poems.
Exactly. So by the time the spring of 1834 rolled around, he got fired from his printing job. And that left him without any money because he had spent all of his savings on that stupid outfit.
Been there, my man.
So he began to work or look for work.
Really needed those Batman underoos.
Yeah, indeed. So he began to search for work, but he was a printer, and everybody that was a printer in town knew that this dumbass got fired for being bad at being a printer. So no one's going to hire him to be a printer again. So he cannot find work at all. And at this point, Rose's father knows that he is unemployed, and this makes him really ineligible to date his daughter. So Boyington was real hard up and it was a bad time.
I bet he was.
So his friend Nathaniel Frost felt really sorry for him. He was
God.
okay, Boyington, dude, I know you're having a rough financial time right now.
Let me just give you some release. And that's when he realized that Frost was a little bit more than a friend.
Mitchell.
This is a real love story.
It's not.
It's Pride Month, Leah.
I'm aware, but that is not where the story is
just
going.
Saying.
You're going to be a little upset once you find out where this is going.
God damn it.
So Nathaniel's like, look, dude, I understand you have some, issues with money right now. And I've saved a lot of money and I don't spend a lot. So I'm going to pay your room and board and your expenses until you get a new job. Okay. And Boyington, instead of being like, oh my God, you're such an awesome friend. Thank you. I appreciate it. Boyington felt like he was humiliated. His manhood had been
shriveled.
Yeah, exactly.
Gross.
He felt like if he couldn't support himself that, it was just an emasculating thing. And so he was really upset about it. And he learned from Frost that, Frost had a bunch of money in a chest in his room, just hanging out. So one day Frost was talking to Boyington saying, oh yeah, I carve things in my, as a hobby. I'm a woodworker. I whittle, if you will, things out of wood.
Oh, humble brag.
Yeah. And Boyington was like, oh, wow, that's awesome. Can you teach me how to carve? Because I want to make a little wooden heart for Rose and send it to her. And Frost was like, hell yeah, I'll teach you how to whittle. Let me get my whittling knives and we'll go to the cemetery and whittle. And so they did. They went to the cemetery and Frost was going to show Boyington how to carve a little heart for Rose. Well, later that day, after stuff had happened at the cemetery, Boyington went to talk to Mrs. George, and he gave her a package that was to be delivered to Rose that had the little wooden heart in it. He said, will you mail this for me? Miss George said, yeah, sure, fine. Where's Nathaniel? Where's Nathaniel Frost? Where'd he go? And Boyington said, oh, he'll be around later. He just wanted to enjoy the rest of the day in the cemetery reading and stuff like that, but he'll be back later. And he said, you know what? I'm leaving, by the way. I'm not going to stay here anymore. And so that same night, Boyington got on board the riverboat, the James Monroe, which sailed out of Mobile and upriver headed towards Montgomery. Now,
yeah,
Mrs. George was concerned that Frost was not in his room the next morning. She was like, he should have been back by now. Something's going on. So she called the sheriff, and the sheriff went out searching, and they discovered the body of Nathaniel Frost lying in the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
The body was covered in stab wounds from the carving knife that Frost had taken with him to the cemetery. But the knife was nowhere to be found. And basically everybody was like, oh, this guy got stabbed and his friend has hopped ship. Clearly he did it, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's like, yeah, that Boyington dude totally did it. So on May the 12th of 1834, the town newspaper ran an article. And the article just said, we think this is what happened. We think Charles Boyington did it. He's a suspect. He's wanted for murder. And they offered a $250 reward for his return, which it was a very lot of money. So
I'd take it right now.
Same. So the article ran on Monday, and by Thursday of the same week, they got Boyington back. Someone had found him and arrested him on board the James Monroe, and they brought him back to the Mobile jail. So, despite all of the evidence, circumstantial though it is, Boyington said, no, I didn't do this. I had already left. He was just alive and chilling in the cemetery last time I saw him. I was not involved. Innocent, please. And they were like, no, we're arresting you. So he was arrested in May, and his trial was set for November of the same year, 1834. And while he was in jail, like the little lovesick puppy he just wrote poems to Rose. And Rose was also still in love with this stupid motherfucker, and so she was completely sure that he was 100% innocent, and she visited him all the time in jail until her daddy found out that she was doing it, and ended up putting her under house arrest so she couldn't go to visit him in jail anymore. So she wasn't allowed to visit, and she wasn't allowed to write him any letters back, but he kept writing letters to her, kept writing poems and stuff. And anyway, the trial was real short. The jury ended up finding him guilty of murder. He was sentenced to hang by the neck until dead in February of 1835. And he actually, just never, ever said that he had done it. He proclaimed his innocence all the way.
Yeah.
So while he was waiting on his execution date to roll around, one of the local Presbyterian ministers, a Reverend William T. Hamilton, tried to buddy up to him, become his friend and stuff like that. And he tried
to save him.
Yeah, exactly. And he tried his best to get Boyington to give a confession, and he never did. And he kept trying to convince Boyington, who was, turns out, an atheist, that God existed and that he wanted to save him and all of that stuff. Just give me a confession. He never got converted. He kept writing letters. He kept writing poems. He wrote letters to the editor of the local paper saying that he was innocent. He was just writing and fawning over that lady the whole time. And by the day his execution ran around, what happened was they got a coffin and they put it in the back of the wagon, and they made him walk behind the wagon looking at his coffin all the way to the gallows. Now, they kind of fucked his execution up because they got him up on the gallows, platform kind of thing, and they tried to get the noose around him, but he ran off.
How?
I don't know. He ran off, and then they caught him, and then they got him on the gallows again. But then, anyway, they had to hold him down, get people to get it around him, and, it was apparently, he struggled real hard trying to get out of that noose, which, understandable. Understandable. But anyway, before you get hung, you're supposed to have last words or whatever. So Boyington had all these last words. He had this really long statement about how he was innocent and how this was a violation of his rights and all this stuff. And the executioner got so bored by it, he just hung him anyway.
In the middle of a sentence?
Yeah, in the middle of a sentence, he just snatched him up. So that was fun. But as he was strangling, he said that a great oak tree would grow from his grave and show that he was innocent.
How? How does the tree show that?
I don't fucking know.
I want it explained.
I don't have an explanation. It's one of those curse things, I guess. One of those last word kind of thing. And he said, if I'm innocent, an oak tree will grow from a grave kind of thing.
Oh, he said if he was innocent.
Yeah, if he was innocent, it would grow from his grave. And so the townspeople were like, okay, well, we have a dead body. We got to go bury it. But we don't want to bury it in the cemetery of the church because A, you have to pay for that shit. And B, he's a criminal. He doesn't deserve to be inside the cemetery walls. So they buried him in a potter's field just outside the cemetery walls. And it turns out that a giant oak tree grew over the grave where Boyington was buried. And you can still see that tree today in Mobile. There's no headstone or anything because it was a unmarked potter's grave, obviously. But there is a marker in front of the tree that tells the story. It's had several books written about it, poems, letters, that kind of thing. And you can actually still read some of the poems that Charles Boyington wrote to Rose because they were...
I'm good. I don't want to hear
some of his letters and stuff were published in the Mobile Mercantile Advertiser at the time. So you can find some of that and information about his trial and all of that stuff. And they've got specific... microfiche locations here in this article if you really want to go look for it in Mobile. But the Church Street graveyard is actually one of the oldest graveyards in Mobile. And he's buried, like I said, just right outside that. And it's a big tree. And like I said, it's marked. But basically, it's a tree by the edge of a parking lot now. But, you know, cool story, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, and the tree's supposed to be haunted.
Well, okay, how do you haunt a tree?
Well, I mean, he was innocent, supposedly. And
he claims
the
he's
tree,
innocent, but nothing supports it.
Yeah, the tree proves that he's innocent. So
no, it does not.
So his spirit haunts the tree because he's innocent. And it's a spooky tree. Also, that graveyard is filled with victims of a yellow fever epidemic, and it's supposed to be really haunted too because of that. Like 200 and something people got buried in like a year there. It was rough.
No thanks.
Yeah.
That's too many.
It is. So yeah, if you want to see the tree, it's
Kathy could see it. She's over in that area right now, getting postcards and shit.
But it's go east from the corner of Government and Broad Street to South Bayou Street. Go south 1 block on Bayou Street. There's the tree. I don't know what that means, but that's what the article that I was reading from Mobile said. So,
well, that's nice.
Go find yourself a tree, a haunted tree.
Sounds like fun to me. Go find yourself a haunted tree. Am I right?
You right.
Oh, man. Well, that's fun. Well, y'all, we have a new podcast friend that we want to share with you. They sent us a promo. This is Mysterious AF. Here, give them a listen.
Hey there, fellow podcast listeners. Since you're listening to the Southern Spirits podcast, you must be into the paranormal. If you also like watching paranormal documentaries and picking them apart with a friend while having a boozy treat, we have a podcast just for you. Mysterious AF is a weekly podcast where Celesta and I, Charles, review documentaries about any and all weird stuff. Alien sex? Check. Bigfoot? Check. Slow-mo walking while aggressive rock music plays? Double check. You can find us on iTunes or wherever you get podcasts, and also on Facebook at Mysterious AF and Instagram at Mysterious_AF_podcast. We also love hearing stories and sharing them, so if you have a strange tale, email it to us at mysteriousafpodcast@gmail.com. Until then, stay mysterious.
All right, y'all. Y'all go check them out. Leah, are we going to have a second story?
I believe we are.
All right.
Because we always do.
Oh, we're a long ways in already, too. This might be a long one, y'all.
All right. Just a heads up. This particular story is true crime, and more recent true crime than, the 1830s. So I'm just saying, if anybody's like squeamish or...
Was it gory?
Yeah.
Oh.
It sticks with the stabbing kind of thing. So if you're not cool with stabbing, probably best to leave right now.
If you are cool with stabbing, man, do we have something for you.
Exactly. So yeah, and jokes aside, trigger warning, there is legitimate stabbing of children. So if that bothers you, if it's very upsetting to you.
If it's not animals, at least we didn't get there, but children's almost as bad for me.
Yeah. So like I said, just beware.
I'm still more for animals than children though.
Most people are, but
they're not. They're literally not. It's just me and you.
All right. Well, that makes us bad people, but anyway. So I assume that if you needed to turn that off, you will have turned it off already. Let's go. Okay.
All right.
We are talking about Jeffrey McDonald, and this particular case happened in Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Okay.
Okay. So Jeffrey McDonald and his soon-to-be wife, Colette Stevenson, grew up in a place in New York that I can't pronounce.
Try it.
Patchogue. Patchagua.
I think it's pronounced Poughkeepsie.
It's not. I know how to spell that one. No, this one's spelled Patchogue.
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 Oh, yeah. I think Patchogue.
Patchagua. Anyway.
Yeah, Patchagua. That's probably it. I'm pretty sure it's Poughkeepsie.
No,
Still.
they grew up somewhere in New York State. And they had known each other since they were in elementary school. They started dating in high school. They kept dating in college. They were just like sweethearts, you know? So Jeffrey ended up attending Princeton and Colette was attending Skidmore. And just they were 2 years into college. It was the fall of 1963, and they're like, you know what? Let's get married. And so they did.
Yay.
So by the next year, in April, so in 1964, Colette was pregnant and gave birth to their first child, Kimberly, who was born in that April. So Colette was like, yeah, maybe I should drop out of college to like be a mom. So she did, and Jeffrey continued his course at Princeton. And then after Princeton, he got into medical school, and he went to Northwestern University Medical School in Chicago. And while he was attending medical school there, their second child, Kristen Jean, was born in May of 1967. And being a single income family, and the fact that, you know, he was in school and, you know, attending medical school, financially, it was not a great situation for him. But, you know, after he graduated from medical school and he completed his internship that he did at Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center in New York City, MacDonald originally, he just decided, you know, he was going to go ahead and join the U.S. Army. And that kind of helped the family a lot. They relocated to Fort Bragg in North Carolina. And Captain MacDonald, you know, did really well for himself there. He was so good at his job that he ended up being appointed as the group surgeon to the Special Forces. So he was a surgeon specifically for Green Berets, and he was getting paid really well.
Yeah.
And Colette was enjoying being a mom and a homemaker, but she had gotten back into college, and she was going to get her degree in teaching. And they were really excited. And over the Christmas holidays of 1969, they got the news that Jeff, in fact, would not have to go to Vietnam. So they were super happy. They were excited. It was a good time for them. And so life seemed normal. Colette had just found out that she was expecting their third child, who was a boy this time. And they were, you know, just really excited and having a great time. Unfortunately,
Oh, God. Here we go.
on February the 17th of 1970, there was an emergency call that was forwarded from an operator to the military police there at Fort Bragg. Captain Jeffrey MacDonald was the one who made that call. And he was begging for the emergency workers to send an ambulance to his house.
Oh, no.
When the military police got to MacDonald's house, they found his wife, who was at that point 26 years old. Her name was Colette, yeah. And their two children, 5-year-old Kristen and 2-year-old Kimberly, lying dead in puddles of their own blood. Lying beside Colette was Jeffrey MacDonald himself. His arm was stretched over his wife's body. And MacDonald had been severely wounded, but he was still alive. And the military police officer that arrived there first name was Kenneth Micah. And he discovered the bodies of Colette and the two girls. Colette was on her back. Her chest was sort of kind of covered by a pajama top, but it had been ripped. And her face and head had been beaten severely. She was covered in blood. Kimberly's head, so the little girl, or one of the little girl's head, had been bludgeoned. The child also had stab wounds on her neck. And then the youngest child, Kristen, had been stabbed in her chest and back 33 times with a knife and
Why?
15 more times with an ice pick.
Jesus.
The word pig was scrawled in blood on the master bedroom's headboard, and MacDonald was unconscious. So when the police officer got there, he realized that MacDonald still had a pulse, and so he performed mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And when MacDonald finally came to and started breathing again, he said that he couldn't breathe, that it was just, he couldn't breathe. It was,
Yeah.
he couldn't get enough air in. And
his lung was punctured, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he said that, like, McDonald was like, yeah, like, I need help. I'm sick and stuff like that. But, like, help the women first. Help my wife. Help my girls. Help my wife. Help my girls. He pushed him off of him, saying, you've got to get the kids first. Get the kids first. And he was trying to explain to him, look, they're dead. What, like, I've got to help you first. That kind of thing. And eventually, Micah questioned McDonald about what had happened. And McDonald said that there were 3 male intruders accompanied by a hippie-type woman who had broken into their home and attacked him and him and his family. And according to Jeffrey, a blonde female woman wearing a floppy hat, high-heeled boots, and holding a candle had come into the home chanting, quote, "Acid is groovy, kill the pigs." And she was doing that as the men stabbed everybody.
Was this a Charles Manson thing? Was this a family
We're getting there.
thing?
We're getting there.
Are we?
We are, actually.
Oh. I'm sorry, y'all. Spoilers.
Officer Micah recalled actually noticing a woman that sounded exactly like that, the same outfit and stuff, while he was en route to the crime scene. He thought it was like an accident scene, but, it ended up being the crime scene. And he said that she was standing outside in the rain on a street a couple of roads over from the McDonald home.
She was just standing there?
She was just standing in the rain, being creepy as fuck.
Yeah. That's her.
And Officer Micah said he informed his superiors at the Criminal Investigation Division about seeing that woman in the rain and seeing that, she matched the description that McDonald had given. But apparently CID chose to ignore that completely, didn't follow up on it, and basically said that the statements that McDonald made were just ridiculous, and basically we're going to pin it all on him.
Oh yeah, he definitely did it.
So at the 100%.
hospital... I'm being sarcastic this time, everyone.
So at the hospital, McDonald was treated for wounds to his head, as well as cuts, bruises on his shoulders, chest, hands, fingers, and he also had several severe puncture wounds around his heart with an ice pick, I think. And one of those stabs punctured his lung, which caused it to collapse. So that was why he wasn't able to breathe. So they reinflated his lung, they got him stable, and he was hospitalized for over a week. He only left the hospital to attend the funerals of his wife and daughters. And eventually he was released from the hospital on February the 25th of 1970. Then later on April the 6th of 1970, a big investigation started. So he underwent lots of interrogation from the CID investigators, and they concluded that they believed that his injuries were superficial and self-inflicted. And they believed that he was making up the story about intruders as a cover-up, and that he was the one responsible for the murders. So, on May the 1st of 1970...
He did all those punctures around his heart, is what they're saying?
That's what they're saying.
Okay.
And said
I'm not saying people aren't capable of it, but,
Yeah, and said that he was the one who did it, and they formally was charged by the U.S. Army for murdering his family. And I agree, like a stab in the leg, maybe a stab in the shoulder, fine, but like stabbing around your heart multiple times after you've already punctured your lung, like that's...
Well, the only thing I can think of that's comparable to it is, there's 2 of them, actually. We talked just recently on our new Patreon episode about seppuku a lot. Seppuku? How do you say that? Yeah, the Japanese, disembowelment thing. And Leah's not, but I am a fan of the Howard Stern show, and they had a guy on there for forever named Artie Lang, who you may know from Mad TV and a couple other things, but he stabbed himself severely in the stomach, I think 4 times, deep puncture wound and slashed across his stomach type of thing. And He was also extremely high when he did that.
I was going to say, was he on drugs? Because this guy
Yes.
has a clean talk screen.
Yeah, he was on heroin and was trying to commit suicide when
Yeah.
he did it.
This
And,
guy has no drugs in his system,
Right.
no intoxicant whatsoever in his
So
system.
that's what I was saying. It's the only thing comparable to it. Like, he never even, he was never saying someone else did it either. He was
Yeah.
saying, I did this. I stabbed myself deep and slashed 4 times,
Yeah.
But I think it was 4. But anyway, that's the only thing I can think that's comparable to it, of someone doing that. And I just don't see people being capable of doing that. Not saying they
one
aren't, but I
stab-
don't see it happening.
Yeah, like one stab wound I could see, because like you can manage to do that, but multiple and then the collapse lung, I don't know. Seems a little sketch to me, but what
I
else?
don't believe that story at all.
So, like I said, he was on May the 1st of 1970, he was formally charged with the murder of his family by the U.S. Army. But 5 months later, Colonel Warren Rock was the officer presiding over the Article 32 hearing, which I don't know what is, but I assume it's some kind of court-martial thing or something. I don't know. I
Best
don't know.
researched podcast.
I was going to say, I don't really understand
Ever.
like military legal terms, so whatever. But anyway, he was like, look, there isn't sufficient evidence to indict him, so you need to drop the charges. So McDonald's civilian defense attorney, whose name was Bernard L. Siegel, argued that the CID had fucked up at the crime scene, that they had lost and compromised valuable evidence, and he also gave him the theory that there were actually someone that had been seen on, the Fort Bragg property that matched the description of the woman and the people that he talked about, and her name was Helena Stokely. And apparently she was wearing that floppy hat and that same outfit. And her boyfriend happened to be a drug-using Army veteran named Greg Mitchell. And there were witnesses
Y'all
that...
couldn't see that, but she said drug-using Army veteran while air quoting.
I was air quoting.
I'm sitting here watching her do it.
But the witnesses also were saying that Stokely had confessed to her involvement in the murders in bars around the town. But after a 5-month inquisition, they ended up just releasing McDonald from service. He got an honorable discharge in that December. And so by July of 1971, he had moved to Long Beach, California, and he was working as a doctor at the St. Mary's Medical Center. And initially, his wife's parents, so her mother and her stepfather, Mildred and Freddie Kassab, supported MacDonald. They believed he was innocent. They believed his story completely. But, and actually they were testifying for MacDonald in that Article 32 hearing. But apparently when MacDonald went on a couple of talk shows, I guess, to talk about his case, because I think it was a pretty big deal at the time.
Yeah.
He ended up going on like the Dick Cavett show, and
Really?
yeah, and apparently he didn't, in her stepfather's opinion, he didn't show enough like grief, I guess, or upset about the fact that his wife was dead, I guess, and his children. He was just really upset with the way that the military had treated him, saying that they had mishandled the case, saying that the CID investigators had lied, covered up evidence, and were just using him as a scapegoat because, they fucked up the investigation.
Right.
And the stepfather was just like, I don't think anybody that was innocent would have talked about that instead of talking about the murder of the daughter and the grandchildren. And so,
he's an idiot.
and so he just got really upset about it, and so he went back and he read a full transcript of the Article 32 hearing, and so they ended up being convinced, and they started believing that MacDonald was guilty. And so, in 1971, the stepfather and the CID investigators returned to the crime scene, and anyway, they ended up trying to attempt to recreate the events of the killing that MacDonald described. And they ended up just coming to the conclusion that his account of the events were just completely implausible, that nothing seemed to work out right. And so...
These aren't good investigators,
no.
are they?
So in April of 1974, the Kassabs filed a citizen's complaint against their former son-in-law. So in August, a grand jury convened, and they heard the case in Raleigh, North Carolina. And MacDonald waived his rights and of, not incriminating himself. And so he appeared as the very first witness in that case. In 1975, he was indicted on 1 count of first-degree murder in the death of one of his daughters and 2 counts of second-degree murder in the deaths of his wife and his other child. And so he was awaiting trial, and he got released on bail. Shot in the dark.
Oh, God. Okay. Work this time, tablet. All right.
What was his bail set at? Was it A, $100,000, B, $150,000, or C, $200,000?
Oh, man. These are all so close together.
In 1975.
101,000. 102,000.
$1, Bob.
Oh, fucking A.
This is Price is Right rules, right?
I'll just go, yeah. 100,001 cent, Bob. I'll go I'll just go, I don't fucking know, so I'll go middle, 150.
You're incorrect. It was $100,000 in bail.
All right. The tablet will not work today. There we go. I think it's time to upgrade, Leah. These fucking tablets. The tablet's fine. It's the app. The terrible free app that I use. But I love the sound effects. So.
All right. So during the time that he was on bail, his lawyers appealed to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals to get the charges dismissed on the grounds that his right to a speedy trial had been violated. But eventually the Supreme Court overturned that decision, and he was remanded for trial on May the 1st of 1978. So he got out of it, but now he has to do it again. So they started this trial on July the 16th of 1979. So years after this whole stuff happened. He was in federal court in Raleigh, North Carolina, with a judge called Franklin Dupree. And that was actually the same judge who had presided over the grand jury 5 years before, which seems a little sketch to me, but whatevs.
Yeah.
But the prosecution entered into evidence a 1970 Esquire magazine that was found at the crime scene, and the issue actually featured an article on the Manson family murders. And they argued that this had given MacDonald the idea and the, quote, blueprint for his hippie murder scenario. And the prosecution also called in an FBI lab technician who gave testimony about the physical evidence from the stabbings and basically completely contradicted how MacDonald had described how the events had happened. And then they also brought in that Helena Stokely lady who was the supposed actual floppy hat lady, and she claimed that she had never been inside the MacDonald's home, that she wasn't involved.
Did she wear her floppy hat to court?
Apparently not. But the defense tried to call a rebuttal witness to sort of like refute her claims that she had never been there and wasn't in there, and the judge basically said, nah, you can't do that. So they never got to refute her in court. And MacDonald ended up once again taking the stand in his own defense. And there was a clear lack of motive. No one could come up with a reason that, he would have done it. It was just like, it was weird, but they decided to keep going on with it. So on August the 26th of 1979, he ended up being convicted of second-degree murder for the deaths of Colette and Kimberly, and first-degree murder for the murder of Kristen. So they started appealing again, because that's what you do after you get arrested for something like that, or after you get convicted of something like that. So on July the 29th of 1980, a panel for the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned MacDonald's conviction, which was again done as they decided that it was a violation of his Sixth Amendment rights to a speedy trial because all of this shit had happened. So he got released on bail again, $100,000 bail. And he returned to his job as the head of emergency medical at the Long Beach Medical Center. So he was working, he was free, which I don't know if I want a doctor that's on bail. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That seems a little sketch to me, but whatever.
Please no.
Especially a doctor that was a surgeon that was accused of stabbing his family to death, but whatever. So the case was heard again in December in the Fourth Circuit Court, and they upheld the earlier decision that, he could be released because of the whole Sixth Amendment rights and stuff. But it got appealed all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. And on December of 1981, the oral arguments took place. And then on March the 31st of 1982, the Supreme Court made its ruling, and they were ruling 6-3 that McDonald's right to a speedy trial had not been violated. So his first conviction stands, and he goes back to prison. So yeah, there were also more appeals. The last appeal actually was in 2014 to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, and it was based on DNA testing of the hairs that were found on Colette's hands and legs at the time of the crime. They had collected hairs and stuff from the crime scene, and the DNA did not match any member of the McDonald family at all. But they denied that appeal in 2018 last year, in December. So he's still in jail. And he was originally eligible for parole in 1990, but he refused to consider trying to be paroled because I don't know if you know about paroles, but at parole hearings, you basically have to say, yeah, I know I'm guilty and I feel bad about it. And I've
pretty much
reformed, basically. And he said, there's no fucking way because I didn't do it. And that would be an admitting guilt, So he completely refused even going through a parole hearing in 1990. And he's up for parole again in May of 2020. He's still in jail. And he's actually been remarried while he's in jail.
Oh,
which
God.
Is weird.
Those kind of people fucking freak me out.
Yeah, I don't understand that kind of woman, but whatevs.
Or man.
It happens both ways, but bless it.
I don't fucking get it.
But yeah, so that is the weird and kind of fucked up story of Jeffrey McDonald.
Y'all.
I don't think he did it.
I don't either, but I mean, just with those facts, though, I don't know if there's more I'm missing, but, I don't think he did it either, but I've got the burps. Oh, talking about people being married and shit in prison. When I was working at a prison, one of my jobs was opening mail. Have I told this story before?
I have no idea.
I may have. There was one inmate. I know I've told you. I don't know that I've told it on the show. There was one inmate that, we had to open mail to make sure no contraband was coming in. And there was one guy who was getting letters from at least 3, maybe 4 women who were calling him his wife.
Ugh.
And they were like, oh, I can't wait to, or calling him, their husband, whatever. I can't wait for you to come home to wifey. And like a lot of the letters started with, I'm glad that so-and-so introduced us. It just sucks that you were inside when it happened. Like they don't even know the man. They never met him before. They knew other people in prison that were like, hey, you'd like this guy. And I remember 3 of them being like, I can't wait for you to get out. The man was on a 20-year sentence for robbery. And I'm like, I mean, it is robbery and he might get out. He might get paroled. But like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all?
I have no idea. Like, that whole scene is just bizarre to me. I mean, more power to you if that's
no,
what
not more
makes
power
you
to
happy.
you. Fuck you. You are wrong.
Hey.
You are doing incorrect things. I am not saying more power to you to those women. They're fucking stupid.
They're not doing anything wrong to anybody but themselves. If they want to fuck themselves over in a weird romantic relationship, fine. But, I mean, it's not hurting anybody.
I mean, it's hurting them.
But that is a personal choice. So.
I agree to an extent.
If it's two consenting adults,
I'm not saying
whatever.
I should have the power to end it. I'm saying you are fucking stupid. That's all I'm saying. If you fall in love with someone in prison, you are a fucking moron. That's it. That's all I've got to say.
Okay.
And I'm glad that y'all got to hear it.
It's a really weird stance, but go for it.
How is that weird? How is what I said weird?
No, I'm just saying, like, how vehement you are about it is a little bit
upset.
a lot.
I mean, I'm not really sure why, but it's just one of those things where humanity is so stupid that it bothers me to that extent. It's always severely bothered me that people are like that. I don't know why either, Leah. I'm sorry, but, you know.
I mean, someone in jail for robbery probably wouldn't bother me, but, like, when people write to, like, known
Like Charles
murderers
Manson.
and serial killers and stuff like that, and, like, send nudes and stuff like that
Nudes are not
bothers
allowed
me.
in. I got to look at them before I sent them back, but the inmates weren't looking at them.
How many nudes did you have to mail back to the sender?
So many. When I wasn't in the mailroom, the lady who would do it, like, we would swap out each week opening the mail. And if she was in there when they would happen, she would call me back in the canteen and be like, come up here, I got some pictures for you to look at. And I'm like,
Ew.
on the way. I swear. They would try to, like, you know, like, mark it out with Sharpie and stuff, but it wipes off, you know, and they know that it wipes off. So, like, she'd wipe it off and she'd be like, come up here, I got pictures for you to look at. I'm
That
like,
is
on the
so
way.
creepy.
I saw so much butthole that I didn't care to see. Oh, but yeah, they try to sneak them in, and we're like, well, we have like a form letter to put into the envelope to send it back of like no nude pictures. It's just a box to check because there's so much shit on there, and it's like nude pictures. Check, drop it in.
At least you returned them.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't keep them. I mean, I looked at them first, but then I sent them back. You know.
Oh, what a perv.
I'm not pervy.
I
If
know it was your
anything-
job, but that's still creepy.
Yeah, well, you know, what are you going to do?
Not look at other people's nudes.
Take the internet away from me then. Because that is all that the internet is, or other people's nudes. Have you ever been on Reddit?
I have, unfortunately.
Don't say unfortunately. You love it as much as I do.
I don't, though.
Y'all, there are subreddits designed specifically for me.
There are, and
convinced.
they're all creepy as fuck.
They're not creepy. It's people doing it of their own accord.
It's still creepy. Did you know that there is a Reddit subreddit? Is that what you call it, a subreddit?
Yes.
There's a subreddit where people literally compete to see how many Sharpie pens you can stick in someone's butthole.
It's our butt Sharpies.
It is. I thought it was a joke. I
No.
thought Mitch was making it up, and he showed me, and I was like, "Holy fuck!"
Yo.
There are people. And now I'm terrified that if I like borrow a Sharpie from someone, I'm worried that
No,
it might
always
have been
buy a
up someone's
Sharpie.
asshole.
Never borrow a Sharpie. That subreddit has taught me that. Always buy new Sharpies. Even if you've bought one and it's in your house, someone may have come in and put it in their butt and put it back. Always buy new Sharpies when you want to use one.
And y'all, I'm not kidding. And this is weird. This is not suitable for work. But y'all, motherfuckers putting 30, 40 fucking pins in their buttholes.
I don't think
at
it's
the
that
same
many.
time. Okay, it was a lot. I didn't count because I was startled. But
Well, they normally say in the post, like, got 18 in, you know, something like that. But, you know, the best non-porn subreddit.
how did that fucking start?
I don't know. I'll tell you how I first heard about
our
it.
butt Sharpies was a good idea.
I first heard about it on
And
Harmontown.
what if you can't get Sharpies? What if it's like
Oh no, you can put anything in
like
your butt.
what if it's a Skirple or whatever?
You can put
those
anything in your butt. It doesn't
off-brand
matter.
Pins are.
The first time I heard about it was Harmontown, because Dan Harmon told a story about how he had heard about massaging the prostate.
Ew.
So he was like jerking off and put a Sharpie in his butt, and he was like, "Okay, this is a thing, but like I don't want to do it ever again." You know. That kind of story.
did
That's the
not
first
need
time
to
I
know
heard
that.
about it. And then I don't even know how, but I heard about butt Sharpies, like our butt Sharpies. And I was like, Leah, come look at this.
One
with
of
me.
your friends probably emailed you and said,
Could've been.
our butt Sharpies.
Could have been. But I want to go back to a point I was making a moment ago. The best non-porn subreddit is called RJGL Giraffes. And what it is are pictures of giraffes with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's face superimposed on them.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's wonderful.
It's a really good subreddit.
Trust
but I
me,
love
look it up.
both
I think
giraffes
it's
and
dead.
JGL. So
I think it's a dead subreddit, but you can still scroll through everything that happened on the subreddit.
yeah.
And it's wonderful. Oh, I think that's enough butt Sharpie talk. Leah.
Thanks. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just have to share my terror with others. Accept my chaos. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. Anyway. Are we going to have a toast this week?
Oh, yeah, that thing.
Would you like some time to rewrite it for butt sharpies? Do you want to include butt sharpies?
I don't. I don't. Okay, everybody, just forget the last 10 minutes of what I said.
It's not going to be
Use your
wiped
mind
from your
bleach and hoist your drink high into the sky because you're about to need it. All right?
Yeah.
1830s Mobile was truly cutthroat. Dude stabbed up his housemate and hopped on a boat. Always beware the floppy hat wearing lady. She's really creepy and her boyfriend is shady. Drink.
Not bad this week. Proud of you. I'll drink to it. God, this fucking Lovebug is so good.
It is good.
I love this sour. Oh, well, that was a fun little toast at the end. You did great.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Did it erase the butt sharpies?
No, nothing erases butt sharpies. Not for me. I'll be going to that as soon as I stop the recording.
Gross.
No, I won't. It's really not something. It's one of those interesting things. It's not something to get off to. I believe.
It's ew. I don't. The whole thing is bumfuzzling to me.
You love it, and you love the bumfuzzling nature.
That was probably the wrong word to use in this particular context. I regret my decisions.
Oh, fuck, y'all. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, everyone. Find us on all of your social medias. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Southern Spirits Podcast. We're on Twitter at S-Spirits Podcast. Follow me. We will be live tweeting Star Trek The Next Generation. Just for, in perpetuity until we stop. Did I say that right? In perpetuity? I'm pretty drunk, and I would be so surprised if I did that correctly.
I'm not even going to break apart what is wrong about that sentence, but you're fine.
What did I do wrong?
Well,
sounds good to me.
Perpetuity is ongoing forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
And that's not...
We'll start over when we end.
We're not doing that.
Anyway, join the Patreon, patreon.com/Southern Spirits Podcast. Send us an email, southernspiritspodcast@gmail.com, where we will accept your questions or listener stories for midweek minis. We will also accept those on all of our social medias. Send us a postcard like Kathy has done repeatedly to P.O. Box 1743, Hartselle, Alabama. That's HARTSELLE 35640. And we will see y'all next week.
Bye, y'all.